Every once in a while, a biblical writer, in fact, any of us, will say something that if you look just at the words, makes no sense at all. And the question that a translator has to answer is, are we going to help the reader in those situations? In 1 Timothy 4, Paul is talking about the false teachers in Ephesus. And in this passage, he actually gives us some specifics as to what those false teachers are teaching. Well, they're teaching the people, they're forbidding them to marry, so it's an abstinence-based cult. And also, they're telling them to abstain from foods, okay? The plural of broma, right? He goes on with his argument about why this is wrong, because God created these foods to be received with thanksgiving by those who believe and by those who know the truth. But this is the interesting word, bromaton. If you just translate the words like the ESV does, it says require abstinence from foods. And in fact, most translations are going to do that as well. The NRSV, abstinence from foods, CSB, abstinence from foods, Net Bible, abstinence from foods. So that's not an unusual translation. What's the problem with that translation? Well, it doesn't make any sense. The false teachers weren't telling them to not eat anything, because then they would starve to death and die, right? So the question is, the translator comes along and sees that problem, abstain from foods. Well, hopefully the plural foods would give the idea that there's only certain kinds of foods that they're being forbidden to eat. The NIV comes along and says, we need to state that from certain foods. Over the NLT, eat certain foods. This is the translation decision that all committees have to make, and that is when the words don't make sense in and of themselves and require context and you to think through what they actually mean, what do we do in those situations? Some people, like the ESV and CSB, tend to just leave it awkward, and you have to figure it out. Other translations, like the NIV and the NLT, feel the need to make it a little clearer. But you can see the problem, and it's a problem that all translations have to deal with.